Control to all units. Possible hostiles near your location. Control, we are pursuing the suspect. Over.
Control, let's get some patrol units on standby.
There's our target. Over.
What the hell? Fucking hell!
Shot fired! That's a intervention technique.
What's taking you so bloody long? Monsieur Bloom, my real name is in fact Andrew, and I live in, note this down, a deluded pseudo-reality of my own making, which is in fact the most densely populated place on Earth these days, overcrowded, some might say. Joining me, as always, my next-door neighbour in these Netherlands of nonsense, it's Alice.
Yes, indeed, it is Alice. Alice, who the bleep is Alice? I am not going to tell you that, but you can just sort of sense it from the timbre of my voice.
Let's spin the wheel and find out where we're getting today's news from. It's coming from here. I must get a new wheel in at least one other place on it. And the headline is about our borders are safe. We can all sleep easy in our well-bordered beds. 4,000 illegals were deported last week. We are on the trail. Breaking the law just by existing. And of course, illegality is through the skin just by standing next to an illegal person. So we've got rid of 4,000. My question for you, Alice, is why only 4,000? Is that really enough? I will not feel safe until at least another 75 million people are being deported from this country, and I'm here in Britain on my own.
As a bleeding heart lefty, Andy, I would normally be outraged about this, but really I think mass deportation is a very handy way to break up with a partner. I'm sorry, baby, I love you, but an anonymous source has reported you for snoring really loudly in a French way.
So everyone out, no exceptions. Alice, not even you, it's for the good of the country. Everyone out, unless you can prove that your family are in the background of the Bale Tapestry cheering on King Harold and the Battle of Hastings in 1066. Get out! Actually, that's not British enough. Unless you can show unarguably that your direct bloodline is untainted by anything since
Control, suspect is through the checkpoint.
Unless your direct ancestor was personally responsible for building Stonehenge, get out of my country. I guess when you're looking at the best ways to stop immigration, apart from obviously the end of the world, to make a place you want to stop people coming to as unpleasant as possible. So,
well, we absolutely are doing that, Andy.
Fair play to the government for helping us with that. Extend the white cliffs of Dover. They've been resting their lives for too long. Very efficient, it turns out, as a means of stopping immigration. You can extend them like that. Another 11,000 miles, a full round around Great Britain, and they can even be about a kilometre and a half higher as well, with special greasy coating to stop people clambering over the top or however they get it. Here's a quick joke for you. Did you get one about the woman who went into the immigration processing centre and was never seen again?
No, Andy, I didn't hear that one.
Boom. Set up punchline. For those of you unfamiliar with it, the immigration processing centre is, of course, where so many of our guests to Britain go for a...
Driving into the vehicle, over.
...involuntary hide and seek. You are listening to The Bar. I will conclude by saying that all the things wrong with Britain today... I think immigration is right.
Control,
Alice. When you think of all
the
the health professionals we've stolen from overseas over the years here in Britain, it's quite possible that all these people are just coming here to try to get an appointment with their local doctor.
Yes, Andy, certainly someone who came from the expanded arm of the empire when Britain was still reaching out rather than folding in on itself. Most of us just come here to visit our stuff in the museums. Speaking of international movement, Britain has recalled all European ambassadors after a spy scandal. This is probably a good thing. British foreign politicians are always putting their foot in their mouths. How much worse can they do than by definition, the fact that there's a spy scandal means that they were terrible spies. The point of spies is that there's never a spy scandal.
Let's give credit to all the spies that haven't been in scandals.
They arrested those German spies in that SIRS crackdown on the illegals in Hackney, and I think that's a sad thing. I used to think that Germans was quite scary, but that's because I've been watching World War II movies where the Germans all have English accents. They speak in that very, precise way. It's very, we have ways of making you talk. And now Germans all have that American accent, where it's all like, Welcome to the party. We're having a really nice
Total the
time.
target's vehicle.
You're much friendlier, Germans. Come and stay.
But that's all today. Youngsters, remember, it's not as bad as it seems. Honestly. I hope. Until next time.
Control.
Bye-bye.
We're in pursuit. Over.
Received. Ramming the suspect.
They're here! You gotta help me! No, they're in the house!
Police do a great job, but never enough fun to count. That's why we're here to offer an alternative.
Ready to ram the vehicle.
Down your
Over.
weapons or face lethal force.
Alvin, we're ready to keep you safe.
Control, we are pursuing the suspect.
This is London Calling. You're listening to me, Tash, and Buccaneer, your source for what they don't want you to know. This time we're turning our focus back on the media to look at my former employer, the GBB. As we know, the broadcaster has been through a lot of changes since the Messiah government gave in to pressure for its corporate matters and privatised the corporation. Today, the GBB is a shadow of its former self. It's become a tool used by the government to circulate fake news and misinformation. So how did we get here? Where did it all go wrong? How can we tell when the national media is getting state
Received. Ramming the
Our
suspect.
experts believe the conditions of government.
Control, we are pursuing the target.
We've seen free broadcasters brought up by journalists and torn down by journalists.
So before the media fragment,
Immobilize that vehicle.
trusted and worthy of trust. Then what we ended up with is a really commercial model where whether we're talking about smart device, whether we're talking about a broadcaster, the most important thing is
Units,
to keep
prepare to stop
you
the
in that
vehicle.
environment for the longest amount of time possible.
Received. We are trailing the
In
target.
order to do that, a couple of things happened. One was the use of manipulative techniques around behavioral economics, things that would just keep you scrolling, keep you
Preparing to
listening,
ram
keep you
suspect's
looking
vehicle.
for more information. The second is that that kind of environment favors sensationalism. And so you've got more sensational headlines and more sensational stories. It just kept people in, it kept them engaged. So we ended up in a situation where nobody trusted anything and nobody believed anything at all. And that is the perfect environment for an authoritarian voice to come in and say,
Pursuing
no
the
way,
target.
we are the
Over.
truth." The ground for this environment really got created when we had suddenly authoritarian politicians everywhere. And anything that threatened them or they disagreed with, they would call it disinformation. That's disinformation. That's fake news. And again, we got in a situation where nobody really believed anything. And the trouble is if you were telling the truth, it's very hard to get your message to cut through all of the noise of all of the disinformation that's there. So like, you remember Out on the Edges, there was this story about when they would take a house by force, they would take any infants and they would crucify them. And that's a great, fantastic,
Received. We
viral
are in
story.
pursuit.
And how do you counter that story? With the truth. The only way you
Negative.
can
No
counter
sign
it is
of
by
the target
saying,
yet.
no, they didn't. And of course, no one wants to spread that story. No one wants to hear that story. They want to hear the sensationalism. They want to hear how people were victims of violence when in fact they weren't. Or
I'm
they
terminating
were
the search.
victims of
Fall back.
insurgent forces
Over.
when in fact they weren't.
The news is a battle.